All right. Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live stream here on Free Will Photos. Tonight, we have a really good comparison, and I don't even know. I don't want to oversell it. Look, we're gonna put Lightroom Classic versus ON1 Photo Raw, and I'm really only looking at the AI perspective. All right. At the end, I'll give a few comments, probably centered around, well, what should you do if you're in a few different groups, okay? But I do want to acknowledge, we got Mark and we got Jay hanging out, so I really appreciate you guys coming out. And I don't want to take too much more time. Let me just look at the comments real quick. Mark says, "Uh-oh." And this is coming from you as a real testament. And yeah, hey, look, it is going to be it. I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to show you because I'm a firm believer of actions speak louder than words. But before we dive into the content tonight, let me go ahead and go over a few disclaimers. The first one, I am not leaving ON1. I'm not stopping using that as my primary editor. I will say, I just put Lightroom Classic back on the dock of my computer. After testing this out on a few images, I was like, oh, I may need to use this more on my personal work because I only have apps on my dock that I open regularly. I think I may be opening Lightroom regularly now. So just want to let you know that. The second disclaimer that I have is I only want to show how each program works. I'm not here to tell you which one is better. I'll let you make that determination on your own. I'm just going to test out some examples, talk you through kind of what I was thinking when I was testing it, maybe even show you how some of the features in Lightroom work, and talk about the similarities and differences. All right. The other disclaimer, only want to compare for anyone that is curious. All right. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I wrote this on a little card. You could barely read it, but I just want to make sure that I check all the bases. So I didn't want to I didn't want to freestyle it. I'm going to be working on all the same images from Unsplash. So I'm not going to give ON1 a different version of the image than I give Lightroom. The only difference is Lightroom. Of course, I had to import them or add them to the catalog, which I've done that already. But it's the exact same images that I have in my ON1 folder. I just took the folder that is cataloged in ON1 and I imported that to the catalog for Lightroom. So that way, all the photos are the same. All right. And then the last disclaimer, I am using the standalone version. I'm not going to send these photos into ON1 from Lightroom, and vice versa. I'm going to close out Lightroom because that's where we're starting. When I get done showing the demonstration in Lightroom, I'm going to close out Lightroom and then open up ON1 so that way you can see kind of what's going on there, and the similarities and differences. And I'll do my best to call those out. So let me take a look at the comments here. We got Sean, haven't used Lightroom since 2017. Looking forward to see how it compares. Okay. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump into the computer. So obviously I'm inside of Lightroom. I think you guys have seen many of these photos, so there shouldn't be anything new or catching anyone off guard. But we're just going to start out with a portrait, and we'll start with this gentleman right here. We'll go into develop. Now, I'll be fair. I do use Lightroom for my headshot work and stuff like that, which is why I was really excited to see some of the new features that are inside of Lightroom. But I am, because I've been using ON1 for so long, I have not fully understood the Lightroom workflow. So if I click on some things, it's because I'm still trying to remember oh yeah, that's where that is in Lightroom. All right. But I'm just going to jump right over to the local adjustments equivalent so we can see how the AI masking works. Over here on the, and I just need to minimize something over here so I don't get too distracted. When you click on the little selective, the masking bubble, whatever, you get three options here. But if you're working on a portrait, well, you get this little person here. If you click on that, it's going to analyze the image. All right. And you have a few check blocks here. You can do the entire person, or you can do specific portions of the person. So if I want just the face skin and give them a little weird overlay there you go. Then we have the body. And I do want to point out how well it's picking everything up. If I go face skin, it's not picking up anything that's down here in the neck and chest area. But if I hover over body, it's selecting just the body. It really, really precise. And I like that it's breaking this down. So not only is it seeing that this is a person, but that there's different layers of masking capability for the person. So maybe I just want to mess with his eyebrows. And there you go. I got the caterpillar approach going there. And then maybe I want the eye ciliaria. I think that's how you say that. I'm not an eye doctor. It's the whites of the eyes, all right? We'll call that the whites of the eyes. Give me 1 second to see somebody spamming. All right. So that should be fixed. Okay. So we got, the whites of the eyes. Then we can come down to the iris and the pupils. Look, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see just how well it's masking, right? And it doesn't mask everything entirely, but look at how it's picking up the hair. There's very little hair in the overall image, but look at how well it's picking up the hair. So what I'm going to do is I want everything that makes up his face. So I'm going to go with the face skin. I'll go with eyebrows because I want that. I want the whites of his eyes and I want the pupils. All right. And I think I want teeth and lips. So everything that deals with his face. For now, what you will notice is it's not picking up, like if I just move that out of the way, it's not picking up his mustache, right? Which I think is okay because I'm going to show you how to work with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit create mask. Now I can create this into, 6 different masks, or I can create this into one main mask. I'm going to just, for demonstration purposes on this one, I'm just going to create this into one mask. Go ahead and hit create. And now we have the overlay, and it looks a little silly, but that is the overlay. Where is my... Now, of course, every time I go live, something always goes wonky. And I don't know where my... Okay, I know what to do. So we're going to come back over here to mask. What's going on? My goodness. Well, that's weird. Let's go back to library and we'll come back to develop. I'm not sure why it just reverted back to the regular mask and it's not giving me the AI tools. Where did the AI tools go? Man, every time on a live stream, this is like super, super embarrassing. Let's try a different photo. Let's try this one. Let's see. Okay. I don't know what was going on with that particular photo. Got rid of it. So I'm just going to make one really quick for this image. We want face, we want eyebrows, the ciliaria, the iris, lips, and we'll leave that be. And I want to create 5 separate masks. So I'm going to hit create mask. And where is my... Okay, maybe I need to go to view. This is the challenge that I have with Lightroom. And everything was working fine because I've been testing this out. And of course, now it doesn't want to show me the mask module or the pane. So let me go with color overlay. It's supposed to pop up right here, and I don't know where it went or why it's not showing up. So I'll do this. Let me just go ahead and close out Lightroom really quickly. We'll come back over here. Technical difficulties. And while Lightroom decides to refix itself, I'll check in with the comments. Let's see here. Go ahead and relaunch that. And Lightroom, it opens up pretty quick. It's a very fast program. So we'll be back into the stream here shortly. And Lightroom works. So we got hot gates, and Lightroom works great. ON1 is full of bugs. Okay, that's a fair statement. There are some bugs inside of ON1. Looks better than ON1 AI mask. That's what Sean said. And then, okay. Yeah, no, there's definitely some bugs inside of ON1, and the AI masking in Lightroom works great. Let me see if I can get the photo over here, because the actual demonstration that I want to show, there we go. Look at that. Now the mask that we created earlier is finally showing up. Good times, right? Can't make this stuff up. I don't know where that went. And you know, we'll talk about rental software and stuff like that a little bit later. But here we go. So I have the mask, and you're like, Chris, well, you're missing the mustache. Well, you're right, I am. If I click on the mask here and I click on add, there's a new tool inside of Lightroom Classic that is the objects. All right. So if I click on objects, I now have a brush tool, and I can just paint right over this. This is similar, and this is like reminiscent of the AI quick select inside of ON1, where you can paint and tell that ON1 in the previous version of ON1, I should say, where you can paint and tell ON1, hey, I want you to put this into my selection. Well, now I was able to do that really easy and really fast, and it's actually pretty accurate, right? Inside of ON1, I do not have that feature anymore. Good, bad, and different, it just doesn't exist inside of ON1 anymore. And I'm sad about that, but that's the case. So there's the mask, and I can start making whatever updates or edits that I want to make. So maybe I want to throw in some clarity, some texture, whatever. I'm not really going to edit photos. I really just want to show the masking capability and the features available. Oh, sorry guys. All right. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. I do apologize. Let me go ahead. Let's see if I can just reset all of this. So we will delete the mask altogether, and it's going to re-render the face mask. It works really fast, so I'm sorry that I wasn't screen sharing while I was doing that. But here we go. Click on person, face skin, eyebrows, iris, the scleria, and then we want teeth and lips. All right. So everything that makes up the person that's in this image, we selected that, but it didn't select his mustache. I'm going to go ahead and create the mask. It gives me this pane over here with all of the separate layers of the mask available. It doesn't rename them for you, even though the AI select tool, it tells you what it's actually selecting. It doesn't rename it for you. Not a big deal, I guess, but you know, kind of one of those things like, man, why didn't it rename it for me? But you can see that it missed over here. It missed his mustache. So we're going to hit add, and then we'll click on objects, and this now gives me another selection brush, and there's two methods inside of here, and I'll show both of them. But this one is what reminds me of AI quick select. So now I get a brush, and all I have to do is paint over the area that I want to add to the selection, just like so, and then let it go. And it has now added in that portion of his face or the mustache, whatever, that's now added into the selection. So I am 100% okay with that. And then this is where, you can go and start making your edits as you see fit. I'm not actually editing the photo tonight. I just wanted to show you how the mask feature works. Now, I am going to increase the exposure here just so you can see. It's not 100% perfect, right? But this is manageable. You can clean this up with like no problem, really. Okay. And if you have Lightroom, you also have Photoshop. So I can easily just migrate this over to Photoshop really quick and start working on it there if you're familiar or comfortable with that. But if not, you can definitely clean this like little outer glow. You can clean that up inside of Lightroom if you need something to be extremely, extremely precise. All right. Now, I'll be honest, my Lightroom chops, they're not as good as they once used to be because I stopped using Lightroom before they went away with the old version of the masking and they introduced this new version. So there is that. Now that's on a portrait, and that's one of the headline things that Lightroom is broadcasting, like, hey, look at what we've done. Come be a Lightroom subscription holder, things of that sort. That's on portraits. Now, what we'll do is we'll come over here to a landscape image and we'll hit develop, right? And we're going to come back over here. You can mask the sky. Now, I don't believe that this is entirely new, but if you have, a sky, now, to the best of my knowledge, you can't do sky swapping inside of Lightroom as you would be able to do inside of ON1. But if you click the sky, and I will change the mask overlay to white on black, you can see how well it actually masks the sky. And for me, if you know my struggle with using applications on a computer, right? User interface and user experience absolutely at the top of my my what things I care about list. With this, I was able to mask the sky in this image, and I didn't have to worry about the software crashing on me. All right. I can't say the same with ON1, and that is just the struggle that I have every time I hit the sky, so much so that I don't even feel comfortable trying to do it on a live stream. And when I do it with a recording, I usually pause the recording. All right. Which is why you don't see many sky replacement videos on this channel inside of ON1. But moral of the story, I can select the sky and mask it here. And it does pretty good, really fast. And I think that that is a testament to Lightroom with the way that they got this going. So I'm going to take a pause here and grab a quick drink. Oh, are you? I am sharing now, right, Sean? Everybody's seeing the screen now. Please just let me know if everyone is seeing the screen, because I did forget to share the screen the last time, so I apologize for that. But hopefully everyone can see the screen now. If you can, just throw, an emoji in the chat, because I want to make sure you guys are seeing it. Okay. So Sean said that it works super fast for him. Hey, and I respect that, right? If it works for you, then it works, right? I'm not here tonight to tell anybody that they need to leave ON1. I'm not leaving ON1. I'm keeping ON1. All right. Right. I'm not telling anybody that they need to leave. all I'm saying is I I cannot use the sky replacement tool in hopes of ON1 not crashing. All right, and that's okay, because I don't shoot a lot of landscape or things where sky replacements would be used. So here we are. We masked the sky. So if I wanted to, maybe I guess you would decrease clarity, maybe bring down exposure and stuff like that, right? It does a really good job with masking of the sky. And this is probably not the greatest image, but I'm going to try it anyway because I think that that's fair. So we'll go ahead and expand our mask. We're going to add to our selection, and we're going to click on objects. And I'm going to grab this rectangle, and I am going to click. Well, I thought I was going to click and drag right over this water. And I want to see what it does if it actually selects the water, which it looks like it actually selected the water, at least where the rectangle was covering. And I'm going to show a better, I'm going to show a better overlay, or I'm sorry, a better example of how you can use that rectangular select tool. But the point that I'm making here, look at how well this is masking, right? This came right up to the edge. Where's my, can I zoom in? I was about to hit the letter Z just so I can zoom in. So, and I don't know if that's going to be close enough. See, this is what happens when you leave a program and then you try to go back to it later on down the line. You don't know what you're doing in it. I know how to use it. I promise I do. I think I do. I could be wrong. All right. So, of course, when you're zoomed in this far, it doesn't want to show the overlay. So here's what I'll do. I am just going to click. There we go. If I hover, let me close this out. If I hover over this, look at how close it gets to the edge of that water and how well it actually masks it in. It's just good, right? Nothing that you haven't seen on other channels. I'm just showing that this is something that is amazing. It works great. And this is the competition that ON1 is up against. Regardless of where you stand, which I am a fan of ON1. I think everyone who comes to this channel, they know that I'm a fan of ON1. But there's no denying that this is the competition that ON1 is up against. And ON1, I say this in a very, I guess, like a coach mentality voice, right? Not that I coach ON1, but the coach is for the team. But sometimes the coach pulls you aside and pulls you into the locker room, wherever, and says, hey, you're not performing. You need to do better or we're going to lose. And, if there's a message that I can send to ON1, hey, you're not performing. You need to do better or you're going to lose. And I say that with love, but it's just honest, because this is the market that we're in when we start talking about AI technology. All right. Lightroom is performing, and if ON1 was close to catching them, they are a lot further away now. Like it's like Lightroom, they just took off running. But I digress from that. I just wanted to make sure that I was just being honest, right? And that's just my take. All right. Everyone may be on something different. I want to see ON1 perform and do well because I really do enjoy the software. I love editing in there. But yeah, not performing. All right. So what I wanted to show you was a better way of selecting things with the object selection. So if I click here and I grab object select, and now I am on the square or rectangle, the rectangle. I know my shapes. I can just click, drag, and hopefully it's going to select the skateboard. There you go. And I promise I didn't try this ahead of time. I just tried this out right now. And if I want to add to the selection, now I'm going to try and add the person. I'm going to click on, you know what, select subject. Let's see if it figures out. Look, it figured out that the subject was the person, which I think makes perfect sense. And, you know, let's see if we can get the trees included into the mask by hitting the plus icon. And then we'll hit objects. And this time we'll just grab the brush and I'll make it a little bit larger so I don't have to paint a whole bunch. And I'm just going to paint over these trees and tell Lightroom I want the trees. Since the skateboard's a part of the selection, I'm going to go over it because it's already in the selection. And we'll let that go and see what happens. Okay, so it picked up the trees there. I don't know how well it did with masking out the background, so we'll take a look here in a second. Let's just go ahead and pull down on the exposure. And let's zoom in to 300%. Yeah, we probably never need to be that close to this dude, but look at how well it gets in between these trees. Now, I'm not saying that this is the greatest mask, the most phenomenal mask that has ever been made, but it is very impressive. And when we start talking about time saving and having the flexibility to click and drag, and like, you don't have to be the most knowledgeable person, right? I did this literally while I was talking to you, and it's intuitive and it just works. That's that, right? I don't know what else to say about that. This is just one of those things where it's like, okay, I know that ON1 is a small company and they're trying to be innovative, and I really do appreciate that, and I love that about ON1. But this is the market that they're competing against, and if you're gonna, you know, jump in the industry with the big boys, you got to be ready to play big boy ball. That's what my coach used to tell me when I played basketball growing up. But again, I digress on the coaching aspect. Let me go ahead and take a look at the comments, and then I'll look at one more example before we jump over to ON1. Okay. Sean says Lightroom AI mask seems better than ON1 for accuracy. Yeah, it absolutely is. It is better than the ON1 masking from the accuracy standpoint. Mark says it does work well. Maybe not my happiest day. Yeah, because you just went through that whole migration and taxed the CPU on your computer. So I could see how this may not be your happiest day, especially if you are one of the people looking to, and I keep hitting my microphone, if you're one of the people that is looking to escape a subscription model. I do have a theory on that, and my theory, if you're a hobbyist, look at other things that you subscribe to and how frequently you use them, and then look at the cost of subscribing to Lightroom. If you are more engaged with your photography, I think many hobbyists will find a way to justify using Lightroom, or at least paying for the subscription, because they'll likely get more use out of it. I know that, you know, the culture is we don't want to pay for or rent our software, and I'm not against that. I'm not for it. I'm truly biased, or I'm sorry, not biased, neutral. And I love ON1 for having a standalone. Like, I think that that's great. If you know that I'm absolutely not going to pay a subscription for my photo editing software, then ON1 is where you absolutely should be going, and you just have to endure that, right? But what I will say is I would be careful with the subscription model from ON1 if that is your stance, that I don't want to pay, you know, whatever the Adobe subscription fee is. I'd rather subscribe to ON1, because the difference that you pay, because Lightroom is a little bit more expensive than ON1 if you go with the $89 package of subscribing, right? It is a little bit more expensive to get Lightroom. However, the quality of like life that you get with using Lightroom when it comes to this AI masking is amazing. Now, I still am not a fan of the catalogs inside of Lightroom and the way that those work. I'm just not. All right. But that is one of those areas like I can endure the bad of the Lightroom catalog if I can get quality edits and masks and things like that. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Let me fix my microphone. It keeps running away from me. All right. So what I'm going to do is I was going to show one more example. Now, this is an example that you guys have seen me work on inside of ON1. And this is of I guess this is a bullet and looks like it's already been fired. So it's just the shell or the casing. Sorry. With that being said, let's see how the masking works with this. So I'm just going to hit subject and see what it thinks the subject is. Okay. So this is really good. It didn't get the entire subject here, right? But this again, if I hit the plus icon and hit objects, grab the brush, paint over all of what else should have been selected. Let's see how well it does. And I'm even going to leave a gap in there to see. Yeah. So even with that gap, it was able to pick up enough information to say, oh yeah, you wanted me to paint in all of this. I think at this point, everyone sees that the AI technology inside of Lightroom is just phenomenal, and it's really no contest. Or, you know, I don't want to say no contest. You can see that it's really good. It's really good. All right. It's phenomenal, easy. You don't have to be a genius when it comes to using photo editing software to figure out how to get your mask in here. And then you can really just focus more on the creative side of, okay, well, what do I want to do now that I have this mask? I know I just keep messing with exposure, mostly just to show you how well it selects the object. All right. So those are a few of the images there. And I don't have any AI adaptive presets inside of Lightroom that I can test out. But when I made the this is a game changer video in reference to ON1 Photo Raw having those AI adaptive presets, I was mistaken, and I apologize for that, but Lightroom had already had that feature. And just looking at the mask, I imagine it is just as good masking each of those objects or whatever you select inside of your AI masking feature. You know, that's something that I'll probably have to make a separate video or live stream about, just because I don't have any created. You know what? We'll make one. All right. So bear with me. We'll start with this photo. So with this photo, we are going to come down here to portrait, and we'll see how easy it is, because I've never done it before, right? I've been using ON1. I don't know how to use Lightroom the greatest, which is why, and why, you know, this is exciting to me in many cases. So we're going to go with everything that makes up her face. All right. And then we're just going to go ahead and create the mask. And what we'll do here is pull down on the clarity. We'll try and soften the face. Or actually, I want to make something that's really noticeable. So we're just going to make her orange face. All right. Sorry to this person. If you happen to ever watch this video, I apologize for what I just did to you. But For educational purposes, I just want to show how this works, or I think how it works. So let me see if I can figure out how to even save. Okay. Drop down here, create preset. Okay. And we're going to call this AI test 1. And we're going to save this into user presets. And I want to select the masking, and I'm going to go with all of them, I think. We'll see how this works. And if you know how to use this particular feature, we'll go ahead and hit OK. If you know how to use this particular feature and you're like, man, Chris, you are such an amateur, you have no idea what you're doing. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. My bad. All right, so let's see if we can make this person's face turn orange. It's actually a little soft focus too. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the preset and let's see what it does here. Yeah. It worked exactly as I thought it was going to work. It works great. Like, in fact, so we just tried that on 2 females. Let's try it on a male. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit AI adaptive preset. It's going to think here and we'll see how well it works. And yeah, it's just really doing a great job. Now, let me see if we can find a more difficult photo to work off of. Let's see here. You know what? Where is that skateboard photo? Because his face wasn't fully in focus, and why? There it is. So let's take a look at this photo. And let's add the preset and let's see if it finds his face, because he is smaller in the frame. Yeah. Look, guys, I'm not. Yeah. Look at that. It found his face. It found all the features. It did what we told the AI preset to do. This is what AI adaptive presets are supposed to be able to do. So when you are working on portraits, or really just anything that you create an AI adaptive preset over, assuming that you have created this to find skies, mountains, it definitely works for portraits. I don't want to get too deep into areas that I just don't know anything about. So I just want to be careful there, but think about the time that you save. Even if you're a hobbyist, just with one click, you can mask stuff like this really easy. So if you're editing portraits of your family, snapped with a cell phone or something like that, like, I'm just saying, that was one click and I didn't have to do any masking. So yeah, I'm speechless. And, again, coach in me says you got to step your game up or you're going to lose. All right. It's just the way it is. Like in competition, there are winners and there are losers. All right. That's just the way it is. I don't subscribe to participation awards. I don't subscribe to you did good. Like, you only get a you did good when you have done good enough to the point that you put everything into it that you possibly could have, and you still got beat, because there is obviously going to be a better team or better software out there, and everyone's gunning for the crown of Lightroom. Every program, and I don't, I'll take the heat rounds if they come, but every program on the market is trying to dethrone Lightroom, and I'm behind that. I would love to see Lightroom dethroned, but Adobe is just, they're, obviously they have the research or the resources and the funding and all that. So short of a larger company with more assets and resources to throw behind their creative departments, maybe. But look, that was just amazing. So let me go ahead and come back over here. I'm going to close Lightroom and we're going to jump into ON1. And give me 1 second. All right, so let me take a look at some of the comments since we are waiting for ON1 to open up. All right, yeah, unbelievable. That's what Hans said. Sean, I've got to create adaptive presets in ON1. Yeah, I've been working on them, and until AI adaptive presets in ON1, they don't work nearly as well as I just demonstrated with Lightroom. Spoiler alert there. But they do work as long as the thing that you selected in your image exists in the other image. It doesn't have, it's almost like programmed AI, but we don't have any real programming to it, because if it sees, the natural ground is flora, but then you put it into another photo that has more natural ground, but the AI preset or the photo that you created the AI preset off of doesn't have as much natural ground, or whatever. Moral of the story: if you select flora and it picks up the natural ground as part of the flora, you end up with more of the natural ground covered in flora. I'm still testing it, so take that with a grain of salt. But I do encourage everyone to go and test making AI adaptive presets in ON1 if you have that program, because it is different. It's way different than Lightroom. Still reading through the comments here. If it's half as good, Sean will be happy. Okay, yeah. I just went on a little bit of a rant about how well the AI adaptive presets work in ON1, and I'm gonna show you here because we just made one in Lightroom, ad hoc AI preset. I'll show you what it looks like when I create one inside of ON1, so that way you can compare. And I'm still like really working through how to make them work well across the board. Mark says the issue with ON1 is that they are very feature focused and don't refine or debug as well as the big guns. Yeah, that I don't disagree with you, Mark. They are focused on creating new things to draw new customers in. And every company has their own marketing ploys, if you will, or tactics. My graduate degree is in online marketing, so not that I practice it or anything, probably not even any good at it. But what I do remember from my studying is that you have different ways of attracting customers. Some people attract customers through long-term stability, loyalty, and reliability. Others attract new customers through, feature type things that will excite someone. So, you get a new excited customer, and, that's almost like the evangelism piece of getting people to come to your product and enjoy it for what it is. Nothing wrong with that, right? When you're a smaller company, the only way to grow is to grow more interest in your product. So I understand them needing to push more features, but at the same time, it does hinder the user experience. And, we're, as the consumer of the program, that's what ends up happening. We're like, okay, what just happened? But I digress to that. Um, and then, yeah, and then Hans just said, I think you're right. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yes, the feature absolutely must work. All right. You cannot put a feature out and the feature doesn't work. Now, all of that set aside, we're going to jump into ON1 AI adaptive editing. And I can't remember. Oh, we started with the picture of the guy. Where is that? There it is. All right, so you guys have already seen this one. I had created the dragon effect with this photo, so I think that is still potentially on here. But what I'm going to do is reset the image so that way the overall experience of the AI masking, because I've gotten a few comments that said, well, if you modify the image, then it messes with the AI masking. Again, I think that's that's a design flaw because everything else in ON1, at least what we've been told, is that the noise and sharpening, no noise AI and tack sharp AI goes down to the pixel level and it looks at the raw file. And that's the reason why you can't mask this in. So if that's the case, then why isn't the masking tool Super Select AI? And that even goes back to Luminar, because the comment was really made that I lowered the exposure on an object before I used the AI masking tool, and that's why it didn't do as good of a job. I don't subscribe to that personally, because if I hit the backslash key or hold it, it shows me the unedited version of the image. So if the program has a way of reading the unedited version, or at least showing it, it should be masking on the unedited version. So that's just, Chris's personal opinion. I'm not a designer, not a developer. And, I hope we figure that out moving forward. But let's go ahead and mask inside of ON1. So if I hit the letter K, I get the entire image. Obviously, some room to work. It's not the fidelity that we got inside of Lightroom. And this isn't bad, okay? This is just different. And I feel like there's more cleanup work with this version of the mask, because I don't know why ON1 is thinking that it needs to come out here or over here. There's this huge halo that's going on out here. I'm not sure what it sees as the contrast. Like, I could just barely make out the gradient between the brightest area to the darkest area. It is visible, but it just, I don't have any scissors in here, but there's an X-Acto knife. If I had, we'll just pretend this is an X-Acto knife. I don't know if you can see this. If I had an X-Acto knife, I can cut precisely around the edges. That's what Lightroom feels like to me. ON1 feels like I have I have some scissors. I don't want to be mean, right? I have scissors and I'm just making rough cuts around the edges of the thing that I want to cut out. And it just isn't precise. All right. And whatever anyone wants to say, it just isn't. Like, that's the point. All right. Because why am I not getting the entire background selected, which we didn't even go over in Lightroom, because there is a new feature where you can select the background. We didn't even go over that. But in order for me to select the background, I have to make multiple clicks. And when I have the background selected, this is what I get. Now, I've been told, well, Chris, the mask that you see when you select isn't the actual mask that you get when you choose, whatever you want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and add a contrast in there and hit add. It's added now, and we'll hit the letter O. And this is what the mask looks like. Yeah. If I were to pull down on the exposure here, it just isn't giving me that refined fidelity. And, I've been told, well, Chris, you got to go and you have to clean up the mask. Well, okay, that's fine. I don't mind cleaning up the mask. But this just takes me back to my point with Lightroom versus ON1. In Lightroom, I didn't have to clean up the mask. I was able to get something that I could work with and make this type of adjustment and be good. Or I was able to refine the mask by telling Lightroom what I wanted it to select. And then it went X-Acto knife mode and selected the thing that I highlighted. So, I think everyone kind of gets the point there. But I was asked the other day, like, why I didn't use the new features when I was editing. Because again, I love the workflow. I love being inside of ON1, and I truly, truly, truly enjoy doing all of the things that I can do inside of ON1. But because my experience varies when it comes to using ON1, the consistency of the AI masking, it varies when I'm using ON1. I typically steer away from using the AI mask. Like, we'll open up this image and see what it does here, right? I've never edited this image. I just seen it, said, hey, that'll be cool. So I hit the letter K. It's analyzing the photo, and then we'll see how the Super Select AI works. So it does a really good job at selecting the background. Like that mask right there, I would be 100% on board with. I'm cool. I like it. Okay. I could work with that, right? Even though it didn't mask out this pole, and to be fair, I didn't try this one in Lightroom, so I'll have to go back and try that one in Lightroom, or this one in Lightroom. But when I hover over the person, I get the person, the skis, and so now even this mask I'm okay with, right? I could work with that for the individual, like if I wanted to mask that person out. I really could. And then, so with this image, it does fine, right? I could work with the masking options that are available here with Lightroom. I guess this little flag looking thing, it's not going to get selected unless I select the snow, the mountains, and the sky. And then there's even a little piece in there that wasn't selected at all, regardless of what I select. Yeah, you may not be able to see it on the stream, but there's like a little blue piece right at the top of the M. Those things, they're minor. I'll live with it. I could live with that, right? Really, I could. But yeah, the masking here just is nowhere near equivalent to what we get in Lightroom. So if you are looking to go between programs, I think it really comes down to, do you want to pay a subscription or do you want a standalone? If you want a standalone, you need to go with ON1. If you're okay with paying a subscription, you should definitely go with Lightroom. All right. And I say that with a very clear conscience, because my goal is to help people find a photo editing software that works for them, even if it's not ON1. Like, that's okay, right? I'm still going to use ON1 as my primary editor, but I would be lying if I said that I wasn't intrigued to start using Lightroom more frequently, especially from the standpoint of it just works, right? Uh, I like things that just work, but I enjoy the flexibility, the maneuverability that I have inside of On1 Photo Raw. So that's why I'm still staying in On1 for me personally. But again, this isn't about me. I'm just sharing my experience, my thoughts. Here's the photo of the bullet, just in case anyone hasn't seen me try to modify this photo. And if you think that there's something on it, there probably is. So I'll just hit reset all, hit OK, and now it's reset. But if I hit the letter K, this is my super select. All right. Now, once upon a time, this wouldn't bother me. Not that we had super select, but if I wanted to make a selection of this and I wanted to do it quite easily and quick, what I would do is I would hit the letter M, and then I would hit AI, and then using the AI masking tool, I would select my image or select the area. But I don't get that option anymore. Like, even if I click and drag, all I get is the super select AI, which is, this makes me sad about On1. Because the feature that I enjoyed using to get quick selections, I don't even have that capability anymore. That makes me sad. So, when I get comments where it's like, well, you're in On1 2023, but you didn't use any of the new features. Yeah, I know. Because the new features don't inspire me because of the consistency. And that really does hurt me, and it grieves my heart to know that the program that I love to use has all of these new features, but they're just not they're not satisfying to use. Like, if I have to clean this mask up, right? If this is what the mask looks like. Cleaning this up could be easy, but when we start getting around the edges here, so if I hit hit M, so now B, we'll go to the brush tool, and I'll hit Command R. I want to paint out, so I can use the perfect brush, and I can paint away and kind of refine around that edge. But how well am I really getting around that edge? The perfect brush is great. It can be used for all kinds of stuff, and I do use it, but I preferred using the AI quick select so I can quickly highlight some stuff and get it done. I feel like On1 broke the AI quick select when they force fed AI super select on us. And I do my best not to be negative, but I just have to be honest. The truth is, On1 has been broken now when we were force fed AI super select as the standard. I'm sorry. Something. Wow, that's embarrassing. Yeah. Nonetheless, and I agree with you, Mark. The masking in On1, it was fine yesterday, but when Adobe decided to release this behemoth of an update, it's like, okay, well, there's that. And I have hopes that On1 will release a more powerful masking system. I'll even be happy if On1 just goes back to the basic AI selection tool. And they refine that. That would make me really, really happy. Because even though that wasn't perfect, it was good enough that editing the mask on the back end was perfectly like you could deal with that, because it was like little areas that needed to be tweaked, and you can even adjust it while you were in the AI quick mask. So to that point, if you have Photo Raw 2022, keep that on your computer, because that's how you'll get the AI quick mask. keep 2022 on your computer. And I'm split between even recommending that anyone upgrade to 2023 at the current moment, just because the new features, for me personally, I edit inside as if I was working in 2022. And I do believe that many people are going to do the exact same thing. They're going to edit as if they're inside of 2022. Mark said he agreed and it was within reason. Yeah, it was within reason. I really enjoyed that. They should bring back keep drop alongside super. Yeah, like if I were king for a day and things went the way that I wanted them to go, inside of the AI select tool, you would have two options, similar to what we have with the no noise, which, to ON1's defense, they did modify no noise, where once upon a time there was only no noise AI, like the original model, and then they refined it to have this high detail model. All right. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know what happened, why you would need either one of those. I think the original no noise worked just fine. But I'm sure that the reason they added the high detail is because many people have told them, like, hey, we really need to get more detail out of our noise reduction tool. And so then they created a new model. I love that, right? So high hopes that ON1 can absolutely bring us back to the old AI masking tool, because that one, I would imagine across the community, right? The ON1 community, I think many people will say that they would prefer to have the old AI masking tool versus the super select. Not to say that super select over here on the left needs to go away. I don't think that at all. I think that needs to stay. It just needs to get better. But the AI masking tool, it should be super select and AI masking tool. That would be like a dynamic duo, where it's like, hey, select big portions, or if you only want a small portion of an object to be selected, tell me what you want. If this was ON1 speaking, tell me what you want, and then I'll paint that in. But, unfortunately, I don't know if we'll get there. Or we're not there now. And, I'm not on the development team over at ON1, so I won't speak into that. Now, I did promise that I was going to show you some AI quick mask. I can't even remember what I made an AI quick mask for. So I think I made one for a landscape. Now, this is already a really cool landscape. I wish I was the person who photographed this, but all of these photos that I'm showing came from Unsplash. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up the panel here. And actually, I'll be fair, right? There are AI quick masks that come with ON1. They ship with it. Everybody gets them. And that's what these are up here. So if I were to click on landscape, I now have the landscape AI quick mask. Let's, there's no fall colors in here, but let's hover over it and see what it does, if anything. And yeah, it's making some sort of weird selections on the trees, but I'm just going to click on it because sometimes hovering over the preset just doesn't work the way that you would expect it to, at least on my computer. Again, only speaking of my experience. If I hit the letter O, this is what the mask for the glow looks like. And it does a really good job at masking around these trees. And again, this is where I'm saying things get inconsistent. Not that they're bad, or, inconsistency I think is bad. But that's a very inconsistent mask there. And then it's doing something around these trees over here. Let me see what it's actually. So it's picking up Flora and Natural Ground. Now, I don't know what they used to create these presets before they shipped, but whatever they used to create the presets obviously had Flora and Natural Ground involved in it, which is why we're seeing that pop up here. So that's beside the point. Get a drink here. All right, let's see what else they have in this particular preset. The dynamic contrast, use the exact same mask, Flora, Natural Ground. So that is that. And then there's the channel mixer, which is also using the exact same mask. So on this particular preset, it used the exact same mask, which is why we start to get these weird cutouts over here. And depending on what you have in your landscape image, or whatever image you apply an AI adapted preset, it is trying its best to figure out what it should do. But I don't know why any of this didn't get picked up as Flora. It's all green. We can look at it and see that. I've said this in previous videos and live streams. But yeah, like, why did it decide to stop? If I hit the letter Z, why did it decide to stop right here? Why didn't it go further up? And, you know, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Han said, it is midnight here in the Netherlands and I have to go to bed. I want to thank you for the honest review. I'll keep following you. Hey, thanks, Hans. I really appreciate it. You know, have a good night, and I'll see you around. I'm definitely here. And then Mark says, Chris, can we do the edit with a girl you turned yellow and then created a preset to use on other portraits? Yeah, let's do that. Thanks. I always enjoy it when people give me feedback of what they want to see. So yeah, let's do that. All right. Where was the first image? I know that we put the preset on this image, but we'll just go ahead and make the preset here. Now, here's where the real challenge is going to come in with Lightroom versus ON1. Remember, we don't get that level of fidelity. All right. When we click on the letter, or actually, what I'll do is come to local. And I'm going to click on the adjustment because I just want to make this in one area, and hit the drop down, and you can see all I get is the full person. I don't get that fidelity of being able to, and I need to invert that because we want to paint on her. So I'm not going to make the exact same edit, but it'll be similar for a proof of concept. So I'll make her more orange here, right? Hey, thanks, Daniela. I appreciate that. And I mean, you're here now, but if you got to go, I understand. It'll be on the channel later. So we'll make her orange, right? Like we did in the last one. Then what we'll do is we'll come back over to effects, and well, of course, we'll come to develop because I didn't have any effects, and I'll just put it into my testing grounds. This is just where I kind of throw all of my presets that I'm testing. So we'll call this ORANG look AI. All right. And we'll hit save. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because I don't want to save that to the actual image there. But here's a picture of a female, similar style headshot, right? We got the eyes, face, shoulders. This one comes down a little bit further, but same concept. So we'll go ahead and hit edit. We'll come over here to the FreeWheel Photos testing ground, and we will find the one that says Orange Look AI. So when I click it, one, it decides to apply the look to the background, which this may actually work out pretty fine. But again, it's not just the face. It is now, dog's making weird sounds. It's not just the face. It's going to be her whole body. So if I click on the mask here and hit invert, now we can see that it is applied to just her, and it actually works really well for this particular image, right? It's going to go over the entire person there. So let's try it on another image. Let's go with this one. Let's see, because I think that these are obvious. You know what? We'll go with this one. And I don't want to open the on photo because that'll take forever. We'll hit edit here. And then once it loads, we'll come to the preset and we'll hit AI look orange. And this is pretty cool. Going around the background. Yeah, no, this is actually really good. And again, this is where that consistency piece comes in. You could work with this. I could work with that if I wanted to make the edit over the entire person. But if I wanted to work with portrait AI, right? So we'll just hide this for a second. We'll hit portrait and we'll let ON1 kind of look around the image and find her face. Now, portrait AI works awesome. It gives a very rough mask. I don't know why it didn't show me the mask. There we go. It gives a very rough mask, and you know it's not perfect, but this again, I could work with this, right? So I think I need to paint in. We'll hit Shift X. Oh, I still got the perfect brush, so I can paint this in. And now I'm getting more of her face. And, you know, I could really fine tune this. And even if I went over a little bit, it would be fine because the adjustments that I have here in Portrait AI are way more subtle. So even if I was to brighten the face entirely or even darken it, you notice it's not really impacting the area that we have included up here by her eye. It's not really impacting that area. So for what you can do with Portrait AI, I always thought that one was phenomenal. I think it works great. Super, super handy. So this is not a bad mask. And, you know, with ON1, you can just copy these masks. So if I were to come over to local and let's say now for some reason, it's not letting me paste that mask onto this particular piece. So if you use, you know, the only conclusion I can come up with is if you use Super Select AI to create a mask, you won't be able to paste over it because I just created a new one. I was able to paste that in, and then I can make my edits. But with this mask, it really is impacting all over here. So, you know, you just got to be careful with it. But I could fix that up just like so. And look at that. Now I have a refined mask and I'm okay with that, right? I'm not looking for perfection. I could work with this. Just, you know, things that you got to be aware of and think through. Let me look at the comments for a second. Mark says it's more than usable. Sean, it's more than half as good. So I'm happy. Yeah. Hey, if you're happy, I'm thankful that you are, because ON1 is a great product and I love using it. So, definitely happy that it works for you. What if you want to just color her dress only, with that orangey color? Okay. Yeah. So if I wanted to make a selection of her dress, previously I would use the AI quick select tool, right? So I'd hit the letter B. I think it's W for the keyboard shortcut for that. Let me see if I can. Yeah, see, it's W. I know my my keyboard shortcuts for ON1. Normally, I would have used the AI quick select and then I would paint that in. But in the current version of ON1, if I wanted to make that adjustment, let me go ahead and reset this mask. What I would do is zoom in, get this. Oh, come on. You can do it, computer. And this is one of the challenges that I have working with ON1. My computer jumps all over the place. But what I would do here is I would grab my brush tool and I will come down here and I'll just pull up the temperature on the white balance and make a larger brush. And what I would probably do in the instance here is just make a very, very, why is that so light? Oh, I guess because I'm not painting with a actual color. And I would just, and I am dragging in real time. There's definitely a brush challenge inside of ON1 where it lags behind. So at least on my computer. And if I'm correct, I believe it's also a known issue. So hopefully we'll see this get fixed. But yeah, it makes for a less pleasant experience when you're brushing. And I would love to say it works better when I'm not streaming, but that is not the truth. But when I'm not actually painting, my mouse works just fine. It moves like it's supposed to move. But this is how I would make that selection. And then for, I feel like a kindergartner coloring outside of the lines, So then I would have to come back and hit Command R, Shift X, and then come around and paint away all of this. And to me, because you can come in here and make your adjustments on your color threshold, transition, all that good stuff. You can come in and make adjustments, and that would work. But like this to me is not the user experience that I want. That doesn't inspire me to edit photos. Just point blank, it doesn't. If that is, and this is just for me, my experience and my machine, as you've seen, I'm running each program as a standalone. I didn't have any issues like this when I was using Lightroom. I am having issues with ON1. So for me, this just isn't inspiring. And it's a shame because I'm not as enthused to edit photos with the one program that I really, really enjoy working in. It's like when you have a bad relationship and you start to like have difference of opinions and then you start to fall away from each other. I feel like, and then, the other person that you once were dating is sitting off to the side and is like, yo, what's up? And then you're like, but you're trying to stay faithful to the other. I think you guys get what I'm saying. Look, I feel like that's what's happening. Like I told you, I've added Lightroom back on my dock just so I can get to it faster instead of having to come over here to my applications. It is now on my dock. And I use every application that's on this dock. I use that regularly, or I use them regularly. So what I'm saying is I am likely going to be using Lightroom more regularly. Not leaving ON1. I'm just in a bad relationship right now with them. And for my own personal creative flow, but the downside to that is I got to go back to Lightroom and relearn it. And after being on ON1 for 2 years, almost 3 years now, it does hurt. I was telling my wife this earlier today. Like when I seen that Lightroom launched their new AI, I was like, man, I feel like I'm about to cheat on one, you know, and I know that that sounds weird, but it really did. I was, you know, while I was at work today, that's kind of what I was thinking about while I was doing work. You know, like it's a big deal, right? Because this channel I center around making content, teaching how to use On1, but now it's like, okay, well, am I even going to use this in my personal work? So I'll still be making content around On1. I don't want anyone to get alarmed and think like, oh man, Chris is about to leave making content for On1. No, I'm absolutely going to keep making content centered around On1. I'm going to keep making content because I do enjoy using On1, but at the same time, uh, I'll be honest, I'm probably going to use Lightroom for more of my personal work. Uh, and even if I didn't have my headshot business that I'm working on, even if I didn't have that to offset the cost of Lightroom, I would probably still pay for a subscription to Lightroom. That's just me being honest. Uh, the you know, for me, photography is a big part of my creative outlet, and uh, I don't watch Netflix. There are subscriptions to things that I have all over the place. Uh, the dollar amount that I invest into Lightroom is well worth the dollar amount for what I get out of it and the frequency of use. I can justify that because even if let's say it costs $10 a month, right? Even if I edited 100 photos, right, per month, just 100 photos, that comes down to 1 cent per photo, give or take, right? I don't know if that's good math. That's probably bad math, but you get the point, right? It's public math is not my thing, clearly, but if that is the cost of me to edit photos, knowing that I have no cap on how many photos I can, I would just do that. I think, like, or not. I think I know I would. That's just me. That's just me. Let's go to the comments. Daniela says, "LOL. Now you can teach us On1 and Lightroom as well." Thanks, Daniela. Yeah. As I learn Lightroom, so maybe I'll do a series called "If You're Struggling in Lightroom, Watch This," and you just get to watch me struggle in Lightroom. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. If you go back and watch the earlier segment of the stream, you'll see that I had some confusion with Lightroom because the way that it actually worked, I had to restart it, all that good stuff. But yeah. And then Mark says, well, now I don't know which way I'm going to go. Glad I have enough SSD to store it all. And then I need to run. Chris, thanks for this. Very enlightening. Yeah. Hey, no worries, Mark. Thank you for hanging out. Yeah, we're getting ready to wrap up the stream either way, but yeah, it's hard. And I will never tell anybody which way that they should go when it comes to photo editing, making a decision about your finances. That's an individual choice. I enjoyed the workflow inside of On1 over the workflow in Lightroom. But if we're going to compare apples to apples when we start talking about the AI tools that are available in both programs, Lightroom is clearly the forerunner, the lead, they might even just be on the pedestal, while everyone else, Luminar included, is trying to play catch up. All right. Now, Luminar is a little bit ahead of On1, and I don't know any other programs out there that are doing AI masking. So these are the three. So by default, On1 gets to the podium. Sorry, I keep doing all these sports analogies. It's just a big part of my life, playing sports. But the point that I'm making here is, yeah, Lightroom is definitely leaps and bounds ahead of On1. But On1 has some really cool features and workflow. The ability that I can add multiple HSLs, mask that in the way that I want it to be, That's something that I just can't do inside of Lightroom. Okay. Yeah. So Bridge is not a bad program. Bridge works great. And you can even make Bridge your digital asset manager and then modify or tell Bridge to open your photos inside of ON1. So you can edit your raw photos in ON1 when you double click. That's in the preferences. So thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. Uh, yeah, I do the best that I can to inspire conversation. But you guys are awesome because you guys keep the chat going and, sharing content or, thoughts with each other. And hopefully, this is a safe space where we can just be honest with each other and say, how we feel. Yeah, the next one will probably be. I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow. I have some previously arranged engagements, but there should be a video that gets posted. I'm trying to bring something to the channel Monday through Friday every day, at least for the month of October. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I do look forward to bringing content of Lightroom and ON1 to the channel here in the near future because I think that both programs are just great. And, hopefully that will cater to the audience on both sides. People who aren't ready to make the jump to ON1 and elsewhere. So I really do appreciate you guys hanging out. Until the next, or one, if you are on Vero, gotta let you know, meet me on Vero. I'm a real person. Hopefully, if anything, the live streams, they show that I'm a real person and I love to connect with the subscribers, the viewers of this channel. And I message everybody, I'm not one of those people that is just trying to hide behind YouTube. I'm a real person. All right. We're all real people. So hopefully that resonates with someone. And if it does, you want to meet me on Vero, do so. Send me a message, send me a connection, follow me, let me see your work. Right. Yeah. So I will leave it there. Thank you, Daniela. It is going to be a huge effort, but I look forward to it, to have the content out there for you guys because I do this as a service to the community. I really do enjoy providing for the community with whatever I can or whatever I have available to do so. And I just enjoy it. It's a passion, right? I'm always looking for content. So if you have ideas that you want to see on the channel, edits that you want to see, please drop them in a comment, or you can email them directly to me. If you're on Vero, you can send them over there. You can go to my website and you can leave me a contact. Like in my contact form, you can send me a message and say, hey, I would really like to see, and then fill in the blank of whatever you would like to see. And I'll be honest, if it's something I can do, I'll tell you, yeah, you know what? Let me look into that. I'll get that put together. But if it is not something I can do, then I'll tell you, no, I don't think I can deliver on that. And then I'll point you in the right direction. So that way you can get something of value, right? My job, I'm just here to help everybody who is looking for a little bit of assistance, get what they need so you can get your creative work out and into the world, because it's a shame that so many people are like, yeah, I'm really into photography, but they don't share anything with anyone because they feel like photo editing applications are intimidating. And I want to take away the intimidation and make it simple and user friendly for everyone who wants to be a part of that. So if that's something you're interested in, then yeah, hang out here on Free Will Photos. But I will bid you all good night or good morning, depending on what side of the world you are on. My website is freewillphotos.com. It should be in the description box of this stream, but it is freewillphotos.com. And you'll be able to see the contact over there. The website, I am remodeling it very slowly. So if it looks a little clunky and discombobulated, I do apologize, but it's a work in progress. I'm a one man show. All right. Uh, I do as much as I can, and I have a full time job that is very demanding. Uh, because for those of you that don't know, I am active duty in the United States military. So I spend a lot of time at work working on things that I need to do. So, uh, and this is something that I do in my spare time as much as I can. Yeah. Now, I love editing too. And I appreciate you sharing that, Sean. Editing is so much fun. It's therapeutic for me. In fact, it's my escape from work. So I go to work, I do what I do, and then I come back here and it's like, you know what? I'm going to make videos on photo editing, or like I have projects that I'm working on that will never be shared with anyone because it's just for me. And that's okay. And then I have stuff that I work on that I share with Vero, or there's some things that I print. Like I have a photo, I can't grab it. It's like right out of reach over here. But I have a photo that I printed on my home printer, and I put it in a frame, and I just need to hang it up on a wall. And, that was just something that I worked on one day. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to hang this up. So I sent it to the printer upstairs, and it's not like some fancy printer, but it was just something that I could do. And, if anyone's interested in that, then let me know. And I'll go through a printing class or video just to teach you how to print your stuff at home, what you should consider when thinking about printing from ON1 to a normal HP printer, things of that sort. Hey, it's okay, Daniela. There's no such thing as learning late, right? Uh, in photography, you learn when you learn, so you can put out what you wanted to put out. Plus, you got all the experience because think about all the places that you've been, the things that you've seen. So when you pick up your camera, you already know, like, hey, this is what I really wanted to do. Uh, I'm always training my eye. At least I think I am. I hope I am. uh, Whenever I'm out and I don't have my camera, and I'm just observing the world around me and the light. Like I was looking at the sunset today before I started this live stream, and how the light was coming into our house and areas in my home that I'm like, man, if I could just find a subject to put in this light, that would be amazing. So, there's tons of opportunities all over in front of us. We just have to explore them. And there's no such thing as showing up late. You show up when you show up, and you put out what you got to put out. And the world will be a better place for it because we need more creatives in the world. Positive creatives, good creatives, not uh, devious creatives. Sean says, I thought you were a full time professional. No, I am not a full time professional photographer. I am I'm a part time professional, I guess. I do have a headshot business that I'm working on. I got my business cards right here. Can barely see them, but I do have a business that I go around and I photograph doctors, lawyers, things of people of those sorts. In fact, I have a yearbook photo shoot for a homeschool group that's coming up next month. So I do get some clients. I don't market myself as much because I spend, again, a lot of time at work that is not centered around this. So, and I just squeeze in what I can for YouTube because this is just fun for me. Like I really enjoy doing this. So yeah, I'm not a full time photographer. I do make a little bit of money. So again, that helps me offset some of the cost of photography. But if there is any consolation, after I file for my taxes, I don't make very much take home. So it all just gets put back into the business. So I can continue to invest in purchasing gear because I am a sole proprietor. I get to keep the gear when it's all said and done. So, it's a win-win for me overall. And then Daniela says, "LOL. Sometimes as I photograph a new bird species, I get so excited that I forget about photo rules or such." Hey, that's fine. Throw the rules out the window. You don't have to have photo rules if if you are inspired, right? The whole tagline of this show or my channel is inspired by creativity, and stay inspired and keep creating. The reason I say that is if you are excited to hit the shutter button, regardless of if it's the greatest photo that you have ever taken in your life or it is the worst photo that you have taken in your life, you have taken the step forward in creating something, and you because of your inspiration, which means one day you're going to come across something that inspires you, and because you have already put forth the practice in doing it in the most random of situations, when you get excited about something later on down the line, and you've refined your skills, then you're going to be like, oh wow, look at that, I've created something better than what I once did in the past. So don't don't hold yourself or don't beat yourself up if something isn't along the lines of the rule of thirds, or if you got other things that break the rules. I think that's okay. Now, for all of the photo purists out there that are probably cringing right now, and like, no, you can't break the rules. Okay, cool. For you, don't break the rules. Like if that's if that is the standards that you want to live by, then don't break the rules. Like, who cares if you overexpose an image or underexpose an image? If it's the look that you're going for, then that's the subjective part of photography and art, and I could go on and on about that. But yeah, yo TC, welcome. The football game will be on in a few. Hey, you know what? The live stream comes before football. Yeah, I probably just like upset anyone who likes football now. I'm kidding. I don't watch football. I'm a basketball fan. That's my sport. I follow basketball, and recently I just haven't had time to watch basketball, so I don't even know what's happening other than in the highlights. But nah, it's good to see you, TC, and I'm glad you're here. I mean, we're about to wrap up, but the conversation keeps going, and I just love kicking the can about photography. So, you know, that that is the case. Sean says, "I'm off. Have a great night." All right, Sean, thank you for hanging out. You have a great night too. And then TC, if you're breaking the rules, you're having fun. As long as you're not doing anything illegal while photographing. All right. Let me be like very clear, give a disclaimer. Don't be like, a peeping Tom. If don't do that. Do it safely, right? Don't break the rules if it's going to cause you or someone else harm. That's not cool. But yeah, absolutely. Like the photographic guidelines of this is what a technically correct photo is. And, as soon as someone tells me, well, technically, I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. Like, I'm an artist, right? I see things differently, not technically. That I could go on and on about that. Let's see here. Okay, TC watches basketball. Who's your team? Who is your team? My team is the LA Clippers, not because I think the Clippers are great. It's because I didn't like the Lakers. So I'm from LA and I have to root for somebody in LA. So I chose the Clippers because I have an entire family that is Laker fans. So I just wanted to be the person who goes against the grain, just to spite my family, even though they're all purple and gold Laker fans. And then there's me, who I focus more on playing the sport than actually following the professional athletes, because that's just my model. I don't follow people. I go and make my own trailblaze. So, or I blaze my own trails. That's just my style. Daniela, LOL, I break them all the time. Sometimes it's not the rules for me. It's just fun of sharing time in nature. Yeah, and that I understand. You definitely want to spend some time out there. Having a camera is just a plus. Technical artist, that's what TC is. Uh, yeah, maybe. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, if you want to do certain things like print an image and you want it to look uh, presentable, I think we can all agree that there is a left and right limit of what acceptable is, right? And like, or there is an absolute limit to what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. However, the lines to what's acceptable and not acceptable are not in stone. Sometimes you can go on the outside of what's acceptable if it fits the vision of your creative process or thought. So, yeah, you can definitely go outside of the lines. And then TC is a Wildcats college ball fan. You don't watch pro. Okay, yeah. I'm a UCLA fan if we're talking college. UCLA fan there. But LA Clippers, got to represent for the the California. Even though I never want to go back to California or live in California, I'm just from there. I was born and raised. Once I joined the military, I left, and I only go back to visit family when I need to go back to visit family. But other than that, I have no desires or ambition to go back to California. Chris, in my country where I live, there are lots of huge fields with no one around. Sometimes I just step in to catch a new birding photo. Yeah. Hey, the beauty of nature. I love nature. I like to hike. I like to trail run. I really enjoy camping. I just haven't done it lately. So, yeah. No, I could dig that. And then TC says, "No, you are a technical artist. I don't know what I." Yeah, sure. If that's the title you think I should have, then I'll accept that, but only in your eyes, right? I don't believe I'm a technical artist. I do like the technicalities behind photography and manipulating photos and pixels, and the difference between a raw image and a raster image and stuff like that. That's fascinating to me, and it's therapeutical for me. Like, I could sit here for hours editing a photo. I don't do it on live stream or anywhere else because a lot of it's trial and error. I have been known to work on a photo for 45 minutes and I walk away, and when I come back, I'm like, you know what? I'm starting over from scratch. And I literally hit reset all, and then I'd start over from the beginning. In my Photoshop days, I used to just close the file out completely and then reopen the file. So, yeah. All right. I think that is going to wrap it up. I got to go check on my family, see what they're up to. The house is really quiet, which means the kids are probably doing something. So I do appreciate everyone who came and hung out on the stream, even UTC coming in and, just chatting. This is fun. Hopefully, Lord willing, I get to continue bringing live stream content just like this to you guys. But until next time, I want you all to stay inspired and keep creating. Peace.